Madam President, I join with my colleagues that you've already heard from, Senator Cantwell of Washington State, Senator Stabenow of Michigan, and today I know other senators will be coming to the floor to say, we want to finish the job. We want to finish the job that started 50 years ago when Lyndon Johnson introduced the first of 3 civil rights legislations that were designed to change America. In the mid-1960s, there was turmoil. Change was in the air. People wanted equality. They were marching in the streets. They were pounding on the tables. And they were organizing in civil disobedience. Dr. King marched on Washington. And Lyndon Johnson was laying the groundwork for the famous Civil Rights Act that would open the doors for minorities. But the very first bill that he introduced was to guarantee equal pay for equal work for women. He did that as the first bill because he thought that would be one of the easiest to pass. Well, 50 years later, we are still being redlined, sidelined, pink-slipped because we fight for equal pay for equal work. And every time we make an advance, they bring in the lawyers, the corporate lawyers, who then hide behind small business exemption. They fret on how it will wreck the economy of the United States. Well, I know it wrecked the economy of the United States, and it wasn't women wanting equal pay for equal work. That's not what brought us fraud, scams, and greed in the mortgage market. That's not caused the great collapse of the banks. We didn't cause that. Their hubris and greed did. But when they bring in the lawyers, we have to pass this legislation at a time. Now, 4 years ago, as the first bill that passed during the Obama legislation was the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act. It repaired the right of women to address pay inequality in the courts. What it did was correct a misinterpretation by the court on what is a statute of limitations when women seek redress. But let me tell you where the fight continues. The fight continues now, and why we need the Paycheck Fairness Act is the fact that women continue to be discriminated against and economically harassed and economically punished if they even ask, how much do the guys get paid? So if you're standing at the water cooler, if you go to your HR, human resources, and say, what do I get? If Georgette asks what I get, and she wants to know what George gets, she could be punished, she could be fired, she could be penalized, she could be isolated for being too aggressive. Haven't we heard that, Madam Chair? Too uppity? My God, daring to ask, what does George get paid? Well, for the Lilies, the Georgettes, everybody who gets up hard every day, takes pride in their work, does the job that they were hired to do, they want to get the pay that they have every right to. So our legislation will keep employers from retaliating against employees who share information about pay. Remember how Lilly Ledbetter's bill got triggered. Lilly was working at Goodyear, doing a good job, even promoted. But guess what? When finally some men, some great guys, and they're great guys, came and said, guess what, Lilly? We get a better deal than you do. And that's how Lilly Ledbetter found out. And when she went to ask, she was punished. Well, so our Paycheck Fairness would keep employers from retaliating against employees who share information. It was also close a loophole in the current law which allows employers to use about just any reason for paying a woman less than a man by requiring that reason be unrelated to sex and has to be job-related. The fact is they'll say, well, you know, we pay George more because you really should be 5'8" to do the job, and most women might only be 5'6". Well, have you seen those Title IX gals lately? But anyway, they always invent the reasons. That's where, instead of solving the problem, they bring in the lawyers. always bring in the lawyers. Well, now we're bringing in the votes. And what we want to say, we want to close that loophole. We also want to improve the remedies available for victims of discrimination by simply putting the Equal Pay Act on par with other laws to combat equal treatment. Everyone wants to say what this bill is about. They all have opinions. It's not about politics. It's about a pay gap. It's not about only gender. It's about agenda. What is our country? Are we going to be fair and fair with each other in the marketplace? This bill is about our families. It's about our economy. It's about bread and butter decisions. So what are the consequences of paying equal pay for equal work? Well, number one, it'll put more money in the family checkbook. More money in the family checkbook means more spending in the economy. It's actually good economic policy in the real economy. Now, it might result in lower executive compensation, but it'll result in fair compensation to the women who work. And as we know, women now are really a significant part of the workforce, and we should be paid equal pay for equal work and not harassed when we want to ask questions and close the loopholes to make sure they don't make up phony excuses. This is very, very important. And when we look at it, 50 years after Lyndon Johnson introduced his legislation, we're still at 77 cents for every dollar a man makes. For women of color, it's even less, and for Hispanic women, it's only 60%. That's not enough. So, Madam Chair, we want to change the law books so we can put more money in the family checkbook and more money in our economy and make sure that the dream of 50 years ago that was started by Lyndon Johnson, we rectify in the passage of this legislation, which I hope we do expeditiously between now and Mother's Day. Madam Chair, I yield the floor.